Welcome back to another 2020 rookie profile. Is Trey Sermon a heat seeker? Watch and find out. Brad from RotoHeat and RookieDraftGuide.com. Welcome back to the channel. If you're not already a subscriber, make sure you do it. If you are, thank you. Drop a like. Let's get this video up to 200 likes. And don't forget, check out RookieDraftGuide.com. Is Trey Sermon a top 5 rookie running back in this draft class? Let us know in the comments below. Sermon, the 6', 220-pound running back out of Sprayberry High School in Marietta, Georgia, was, like some of the other guys we've posted recently, a bit under the radar. You know, he was ranked 191 nationally, number 12 at the running back position by 247 when he was coming out of high school. Wasn't really sought after by a lot of teams. You know, mostly, a couple of big schools. Bama had showed some interest. You know, Oklahoma obviously is where he started his career at. App State, Arizona State, Arkansas all had some level of interest, but he wound up choosing Oklahoma, going there, and it wasn't terrible. You know, he had a fairly decent collegiate career. The first 3 years at Oklahoma, finished, obviously, you know, everybody knows how things finished out at Ohio State this season on their trip towards the national championship appearance. For his career at Oklahoma State, he had 339 attempts for 2,076 yards and 22 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per attempt. You know, nothing too shabby. He also added 36 receptions for 391 yards and 3 touchdowns. At Ohio State, this season, he had 116 attempts for 870 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7.5 yards per attempt. Then he also added 12 receptions for 95 yards. So you kind of get this picture when it comes to looking at statistics and what happened as a guy who, you know, is definitely average, you know, to above average. The one thing you don't see, you know, when you dig into the stats, which is the injuries, you know, his bruising style of play, he tended to take a bit of beating. You know, he missed some time in 2019 at Oklahoma. You know, he missed some time obviously this year with Ohio State. So moving into the next level, durability could be brought up as a bit of a concern. You know, not as injury prone as some of the guys coming out, but you know, there were definitely some concerns there coming out of college that, you know, can he handle the beating that will come at the next level? If you want to see some games that you know, especially in 2020. Some of the best and worst, you know, check out his game against Clemson. Was a monster. You know, that was a very good game. If you want to see maybe the other end of it where he didn't fare so well, take a look at Penn State. You know, he definitely wish he had that one back, would be my guess. So the big question was Sermon. What do we do with him from a fantasy perspective? Now, I think the NFL level will look at him very similar to what Ohio State did. As a first and second down type guy and in a very wide open offense. So think about Ohio State, Oklahoma. Those are very spread out offenses that really like to challenge defenses all the way out, all the way. You know, they want to spread everybody out, give plenty of room for the runners or whomever has the ball carrier to get and find the open lane. So one of the things that we're not as sure on with Sermon is vision. You know, because those offenses are so wide open, there's plenty of room for him to run and attack the defense. So that may be an area that could use some work at the next level. You know, he's a long strider, so there's some concerns with, you know, his ability to be a dynamic runner. You know, he obviously had a knee injury, cut short some of his time, you know, in Oklahoma, and then obviously he had injuries here at Ohio State as the year went on. You know, is the durability a concern? We know that he has some explosiveness because he popped off some big runs. I mean, look at the how he finished his career at Ohio State. I mean, some massive games, some record-breaking type performances. So we know that there's something there that teams will like. I know that when I researched not only our team's evaluations, but looked around to kind of get a perspective from scouts and other folks in the actual NFL community, he appears to be probably a mid-round prospect. So you're probably thinking third round, fourth round. Obviously, this final season, Ohio State really boosted him in some places. Because think about it, Ohio State, he came when he transferred over. Master Teague was there, and he had to kind of wrestle away playing time from him because Teague was kind of expected to be the starter this year, and Sermon, was able to wrestle away carries and really, no pun intended, ran with it when he got his opportunity. So there's something there, and there's something there that I think will really interest NFL GMs and staffs, that he will probably be somewhere in the mid rounds. But so the thing that you'll be concerned with as a fantasy owner is if he's not getting heavily involved on third down as a pass catcher kind of thing, that could be a concern. In fantasy football, we want running backs that get receptions, that get all of that action. So there needs to be more involvement in pass protection in the pass game, things that would keep him on the field in third down and give him the opportunity to at least be targeted. Those are areas that, those are some concerned areas, because if he's not, then that hurts his fantasy value, and we as owners don't want to deal with that. He is definitely going to be, and nowadays everybody's part of a committee for the most part. We don't have too many true workhorse bell cow type backs anymore. So it's not like it's as big a concern as it was 10 years ago. So having a player like this maybe slip down in your rookie drafts, that's not a terrible thing, because then you can snatch him up and stash him and see if maybe he develops into something in time. So the question I had asked you, I want to know about is he a top 5 rookie pick in your rookie running back in your fantasy drafts? Because that's a place where, when I look through the evaluations, and rookiedraftguide.com is where you're going to want to go to see all of our tape and all of our ratings and all that stuff. But the evaluators are kind of, in the middle on him, how they feel about him as one of the top backs in the draft class. You obviously have your top few guys, but where does he slot in at? And that's the conversation that we need to keep having as we go throughout the combine process. Whatever the combine process looks like, the pro days, things like that, it'll be really interesting to see his numbers, his measurables, all those things that the teams will want to factor into this conversation, interviews and all that. I think when you look back at him, he's going to be a guy that is very much like what we've seen thus far in his career. You're going to see a guy that, when given the opportunity, will work his tail off and will do the best he can. He has just enough of everything that you want that he'll get drafted and be a guy, but he may not be elite. He may not be an RB1 every week like we're looking for, but maybe he's a guy that is a solid flex play, or maybe even above that, where he gets to RB2 type production. You don't know for sure, but you've seen enough on tape to know there's something there that we like and that could very well develop. Ball security, is a big area that he hasn't had much trouble with. He had one fumble in his career entering 2020. He does a good job doing some of those things that the teams will expect. So, a lot of signs point to somebody's going to give him an opportunity. And we've seen in the past, when he's given the opportunity, he works his tail off and is as successful as he possibly can be. So let's keep that conversation going below. Don't forget, as always, hit us up on Discord, Twitter, Facebook, all the places that we do. And when we talk to you guys later, thank you as always for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you soon.